Hey guys, Carmine Bianco here. Welcome to another edition of Stoppage Time in-game betting. I got Nick Borrman with me here. We are going to do the Parma Lecce game. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Just got out of the pool with the baby, so my hair is a little bit all over the place. But uh, I had a bet on the early game, and it was under 3.5, and I got terribly beat on the end with two goals in the 89th minute and then the 90 plus 4 minute on a penalty to lose that. So a little sad coming into this one, but that's okay. We're going to bounce back. We'll make the money back in this
That's
one.
something that makes you want to go back into the pool and not do a live betting show. At,
It definitely
at
is.
least it would be with me. I'm not gonna say I lucked out, but I got a 30th and 39th minute goal to give me a win with the over 1.5. A lot of the games in the last week of the season. I just figure that with a lot of formation changes in the second half to give some guys who don't normally play minutes, you'll see more of the scoring in the first half. I think we saw that yesterday, and especially in that Atalanta game, quite a surprise there with Inter winning that game. Was it 2-0? I think the final score.
Yeah, I thought we would see something more from Atalanta. I I didn't release it as a play, but I had it on my own bet as a team total over 1.5. I thought they would be able to get that 100 goal mark, but yeah, they kind of just weren't really able to break Inter down, and yeah, a little bit of a disappointing score for them. Obviously, the game really didn't matter for them in the standings, but I thought they would come out a little bit more and kind of have a nice little send off game. Of course, they have a lot more on the horizon with the Champions League coming up, so I'm sure their attention was a little elsewhere as well.
Yeah. Overtime. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, you know what? It's not the best of games. It's the only game other than the Genoa game this weekend that has any kind of implications. In the standings. Obviously, it's a relegation battle. We couldn't do a show yesterday on Saturday. I had some commitments for the day and couldn't get on, so we figured today would probably be the best. And of the games today, we figured there's probably some scoring in this one. So we figured this is the game we'd go with. We both, if you saw the bets that we placed going into this game, the pregame bets, we have. I'll just repeat them quickly. We have over 1.5 plus 10. I think it's plus 102. Um, Parma plus a goal for the game. And what were the odds on that one? That's a plus 101. We also have over 2.5 goals and yes for both teams to score. Laying some juice on that one at 163. And then we took a correct draw score of 2-2 in the game at plus 1200 odds. I added a couple of the ones that I would normally add. These are more fun type bets, but penalty to be awarded at plus 150. Doesn't matter if they miss or score. And an own goal in the game at plus 800. So that's the thinking here. Robert, welcome to the chat. Yeah, that Roma game for you guys that watched the Friday show. Uh, we figured it was going to be a rested Juventus lineup, and it was a good chance to take Roma, even with them possibly resting a couple players for Europa League. But Juve did rest quite a bit of their players, the important ones like Ronaldo, De Ligt, Dybala was obviously injured, hopefully ready for the Lyon game. And Roma won 3-1. So at plus 180, some guys got plus 200. That's a great bet to hit and start your betting weekend off with.
Yeah, what was interesting about that game, I jotted down the lines that way ahead of time, and Juve opened up as quarter goal underdogs. Obviously, the book set the line based on probably that scenario playing out. But then as we got to game time, it switched all the way to them minus a quarter of a goal. So obviously, money dictated changing that around. Whether it was a lot of public money or sharp money, I don't know. But obviously, the Juve side was the wrong side there, and they kind of do that every year. I mean, we talked about it before, Carm, where once they lock it down, which how many years is that now?
9 now,
Nine,
yeah.
right? 9 seconds. Yeah, so once they lock it down, I mean, I saw it again last year for sure. They whether they're Champions League or have other things on their minds with other cup competitions or whatever, So they kind of looked at that situation of resting people, but it's not uncommon for them to do exactly what we saw, and that's sit some players, give some other guys some minutes, and not that they don't try to win the game, it's just not their usual 11 that they have out there. So same thing happened there. Congrats to those that followed Roma. Definitely a good play. I thought Roma may be in a similar situation with Europa coming up for them. So personally, I didn't play the game. We did it in our show. I threw out a little caution on the side just because I thought Roma was doing the same thing, but it ended up being a great call on your part, Carm.
Yeah, it's even the wife bet it, and she will never take a team that is playing Juventus unless I'm pretty sure they're going to lose. And you can be pretty sure a team is going to lose and they come out and still win 3-4-5-0. This is why they play the game. I really wish I could see what the odds were on Bet365 of Roma to win from behind, because they do offer that. Because having gone down 1-0, you would think those, the theory is, in a game like, with a big team playing, if they go ahead, they usually will hold on, or it ends in a draw, let's say. But for Roma to come from behind must have been some pretty big odds, I have to believe.
Yeah, that would have been definitely a good bet to take at that point. Of course, hindsight's 2020, right? So we say that now. I don't know if we would have said it. I wasn't watching the game, so I didn't see how Juve came out and scored the first goal. But again, just not a game that I was on. I ended up going yesterday. I ended up taking Brescia Sampdoria. Brescia was +1.25 when I took them a couple days in advance, and then under 3.5, and then they closed at +0.5 goal, so it dropped quite a bit. So I was happy to be on the right side of that one, both. But then, of course, this morning I already mentioned that got beat late with 2 really, really late goals in the Fiorentina game to lose that one. The under I had on that one, so a little disappointing this morning. But again, this is the game. We're gonna hopefully see some goals. Last couple of weeks we've done these shows. I mean, what have we seen? Some 1-1s, some 1-0s. You need a little action in the games. Be able to really take advantage of some live lines, and we haven't had that opportunity too much. We've still been able to do all right, but hopefully this game gives us that opportunity.
Yeah, it's weird. I know someone said in the chat about Genoa and Lecce are probably going to win. This is the thing is you've got a couple teams both playing at home that need to win, and Parma and Verona, do they really care? They'd probably love to play the spoiler role because, believe me, Parma and Verona have been in this exact same scenario at times. Getting relegated or needing wins on the final weekend of the season, and they've seen teams start their best. And I have to believe that sort of the sporting part of it is going to see Verona put all their best players out there, Parma put their best players out there, because it does a disservice to the other teams that are fighting in a relegation battle, and they have nothing after this week anyways. So play your guys and don't mail in the 2 points. So I think that's one of the reasons why we took Parma plus a goal here, even though Lecce, I don't know when we've ever seen Lecce at minus or Genoa at minus 200 in the whole season. So this is one of those things.
Yeah, I agree. This is a game that I just looked at and circled right away because Lecce is just the worst defensive side out there, and I just can't get on that side laying a goal. We know the situation, obviously. We know they have to win. Parma doesn't have anything to play for here. But the guys on the field still want to play. They still want to perform. They still want to go out there and score goals and do well for their team. So it's not like Parma, as you said, Carmine, are going to mail this in. They're going to come out. They're going to fight. The one thing that may work against them or anybody in this type of situation, if the situation was that Lecce got up big, 3-0 or something, which then maybe second half, the manager does some things where he's taking out players and letting other guys come on just to get some minutes, and then your chances of coming back aren't there. But as long as this game's close all the way through, I think we're going to go. Parma's going to be playing to win, and I think this line is just too much for Lecce to lay.
Yeah, Matthew says thoughts on Kulusevski to score at plus 185 anytime. I actually like that.
Yep.
He's had a very good season. He's a product that was he was an Atalanta player who was sent to Juve in January of this year, and then Juve loaned him out to Parma, and he'll be returning to Juve next season. So the loan ends after today's game. So he's looked good, and when he scores, they're actually pretty good looking goals. So I think at plus 185 that offers some good value, and it's probably a bet you would want to take.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think I like that price too, plus 185. But I have to plug it in myself.
There you go. Take it because they're on the field. They've done their announcements, and we're about to kick off. We're gonna obviously be watching this game, looking for spots where we can in-game bet, and I have to believe that we're gonna get some spots here. We're also going to keep an eye on the other four games that are being played at the same time: Bologna, Torino, Genoa, Verona, and Sassuolo and Udinese. And we'll be making plays on those games if the lines permit. So I'll be watching those, and Nick will keep an eye on the odds on his end as well. Jay, welcome to the chat. Yeah, you had to sweat that over. Sorry, not the over, but the Fiorentina win. You had to figure they were going to beat SPAL. But these final weekend games sometimes are just crazy, and things that you don't expect to happen happen. And Nick, before I throw it to you, FA Cup, Arsenal. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I do have friends who are Arsenal fans. I had under 2.5 in that game. One of my props was to take Arsenal plus 250 to win the game outright in 90 minutes. I just thought everyone wants to win a cup. But I didn't expect Arsenal to beat Man City the way they did in the semifinals. And I thought a similar performance against Chelsea gets them into the Europa League, wins them a cup. And hey, 4 of the last 6 FA Cups have been won by Chelsea and Arsenal, with Arsenal winning 3 of those. So they've now won 4 of the last 7 FA Cups.
Yes, yeah, they're a team that just dominates that event, and I'm not surprised by the result. I was actually on the Chelsea side, but I'm not surprised by the result. Arsenal, I think they're a team we're gonna be watching next year. They obviously earned their way into the Europa League with that win, so they're getting European football for next year, which is good for them. But with Arteta getting that team coming around, I mean, since the restart, they've been very, very good. So there's a lot to look forward to for Gunner fans, and I think they'll be a good team to watch next year, and much better than they were this year. I mean, they really, really struggled through the first half of their season. So things can only get better for them. Arteta looks like the guy that's going to be able to get it done for them. And the players, really had started to come together, and they got a lot of good young players. They're going to have to start paying some guys, that's for sure. So it'll be tough in the years to come, but they will be a team to look out for next year. Just like I think United is going to be a tough team next year as well. I think we'll finally see maybe somebody challenge City and Liverpool. One of those 2 teams, more likely 2 teams, I think will challenge them for those top 2 spots.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think sort of looking in at what we have over the next little while. As far as like the EPL, the new EPL season, United are going to be a much better team. Chelsea, I believe, are going to be a much better team with Timo Werner coming in and Ziyech coming in. Aubameyang, they have to re-sign him. He's a player that needs to be playing, that they need playing for Arsenal. So that's a big one that they're going to have to find a way to keep him there. And then see who Arteta can pick up. It doesn't have to be big signings, but it have to be important ones. You don't need to spend 73 million on Nicolas Pepe type player. You can find some guys that you plug into that backline in D, that strengthen that backline in D, and you can start to shed that bipolar image that Arsenal's had the last few years. So that's something that they're going to need to do. Game's underway, so we're watching and we're chatting. We'll answer a bunch of questions. Yes, Matthew, London is red. One of the messages I got from an Arsenal buddy of mine was, I can't really repeat the full extent of his thing, but it was essentially, it was "Fu Giroud." So you can figure out the context of that, but they're pretty happy about it. And that win, for people who are for the Arsenal Tottenham rivalry, actually, by Arsenal winning and getting an automatic berth into the Europa League, it pushed Tottenham into the qualification round in September. So they now went from the automatic bid to now they have to go through the Europa League qualifying in September. So that's a little stick it to them type of thing for Spurs fans from the Gunners.
That's awesome. Nothing better than two London sides having that happen to him. I didn't even realize that happened. I didn't until you just said that. But you're right. That's exactly how that would have gone. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just like, oh, if they're in the Europa. I forgot that that Tottenham had the automatic spot and now will be qualifying. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so they've got something a few extra games for them. For a team that Mourinho talked about throughout the season, we're playing too many games, and they're all condensed. And here we are, their season just ended, and these guys get like maybe 6 weeks off, and they're thrown right back into qualifying again, right? So it's what it is, but they should just be happy that they're in there. So be happy that there's 7 spots, I think, in the EPL that get Europa spots. It could have been worse for them, and you miss out on the tournament completely.
Yeah, for sure. They actually lost a spot. I think they had one more spot last year than they did this year. After, I guess, which is weird considering both finals were completely England dominated. So I'm not sure how they lost a spot considering it's all performance based. Another good shot by Parma there. Excited. Yeah. So Parma's got a couple good looks already, which is good to see. The one thing I mentioned to Carm before the game was, I was a big fan of the Parma number here just because you would never see them getting a goal if it wasn't the last game of the season and Lecce needing to win. But in the event that Lecce scores first, I think a lifeline on Parma would be really, really good for us to take in this game. Because, again, it's hard to get behind a team like Lecce that can't play defense very well, laying any sort of goals, which is, again, a big reason why we're on this type of a number, catching a full goal. It was +1.25. I ended up paying about 35 in juice to get that quarter on some of my bet, just to cash something in case they do end up losing by 1. But a couple good chances so far by Parma, so things are looking all right.
Yeah, no scoring as of yet, but I'm sure we'll get some going soon. It was kind of like yesterday. I think at about the 10-minute mark or so, my phone, I was out, but my phone started buzzing with goals because I had a lot of first half totals. My thought process is always, you're going to see some lineup changes and such. And, this is one of those games where, if a team, it's more about, I think, Parma. If Parma gets up in this game in the second half, you'll see them get some of their guys. They'll use their 5 allotted player change and get some of the guys into the game to finish it off. But it's always important for teams like Verona and Parma, who are playing teams fighting a relegation battle, to at least have their best starting lineup in there for the first 45 at the very least.
Yeah, first half plays are good for that type of situation. Although, traditionally, goals, you'll always see lower totals in the first half than you will in the second half, if you just look at the halftime lines, because the fact that, first half, you don't need to press towards the end of the game, the last 10 minutes or so, because you have the entire second half. But to your point here, it's a good reason to look at first half these last couple of weeks when games don't mean as much for some teams. That's where they're going to, have their better side usually playing, and then, like I said, like Carm said, give some other guys a chance. So definitely interesting to see that right now. You are seeing the lines are still kind of, I think they're a little bit more split this time than they are with the first half being a lower total. They're kind of more even, maybe exactly for that reason. Lecce with a good little volley ball, knocking around in there, chance on goal. I don't know where you're at with me on timing of this, Carmen. You right on cue,
Yeah,
ahead of
I'm
time,
watching
behind me?
it on. I'm watching it in real time, and that's another thing I should mention on the show. We're watching it in real time. At least I'm watching it on the Bet 365 screen with the live betting odds. So it's on their screen. It's probably a couple. The feed is probably a couple seconds behind from their live odds. And then obviously, because we're broadcasting this over Skype and OBS platform, there's probably a 30-second delay from what we see and talk about to what you guys are hearing on YouTube. So, but we are watching in real time, and the odds we're quoting in real time. So you might be getting it in a little bit of a delay. So if you see a goal, and then we're talking about that goal 20 seconds later, we saw it. If you're watching it in real time, you saw it at the same time as us. Just to let you know. Um, Brian, I'll try and get into the Parma thing at halftime more. The one of the greatest goalies in Italian history, Gigi Buffon, started at Parma before coming to Juve, so he's got a place near and dear in his heart to this team. And a couple other players have made it, that are on the Juve team or have been on the Juve team have come through the ranks of Parma, so they have a very good relationship with the old lady, as we call them, Juventus. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, no goals yet. I'm seeing. We're about 9 minutes in. One of the games started a couple minutes behind, which is the Bologna Torino game.
Yeah, just checking out the chat. I'm going to scroll back up. Matthew asks about Champions League, Man City plus 325. They're definitely, obviously, always a favorite going into the tournament, right? They're always one of those teams that everybody knows can just score, but I don't know how many years in a row we talk about them coming up short in that event. You feel like one year they're eventually
Nick,
going to
we've
get
got
through
a
it.
goal, Nick.
But
We've got a goal in the game. Parma is up 1-0, and I have a feeling it's an own goal. It is an own goal. So unless they award this to the actual shooter, it bounced off the goalpost and hit a Lecce player and went back into the net. So unless they give this to the actual shooter, it should be an own goal, and we would cash our plus
nice.
800. Um, so let's hope they it right now. Flash scores is showing Lucione of Lecce own goal. So
Yeah.
we've hit an own goal. I'm loving it. We finally got one of these things. They'll sometimes change it and give it back to the original score, but that actually didn't hit the player going into the net. It hit the post, came out, hit the player, and went in. So
Yeah,
that should be an own goal. Should stick.
yeah, that's a great way to start the
So
game. Both teams score 2.5. Parma +1. Loving it all.
own goal. Yeah, it might not be corrupt, but I'm going to cash the plus 800 for us and love it there. So that's a good one for Team Detroit. I'm going to call it Team Detroit because these shows, all the profits from these 4 shows, the 2 previous shows that we made money on, and today's show, and we're going to do one more before we wrap it up, and then we'll start this again in September again with the new EPL and La Liga seasons and Serie A. But we're sending it to the girls who run our customer relations in Detroit. They do a fantastic job. Anytime you guys have complaints about us, they smooth everything over. And you probably, if any of you have bought my plays in the past or currently, if I have a bad day, like an 0-3 day, which I absolutely hate, I message the girls and say, send an email out to everyone who bought my Saturday plays that went 0-3 and tell them Carmine says he sucks and we're crediting your account with WagerBucks. I do it. It's what I do. It's not a common practice, but it's something that I like to do because no one likes the 0-3 day. So it gives you another shot at playing without having to purchase the picks. So
I tried that once and with your picks, and Missy told me to piss off. So I'm not sure what that was about, but
so with my picks, thanks, Nick. All right, that's
yes.
great. Yeah, 100%. It hasn't come off the screen, and I'm just looking to see. they've graded it, I believe. And now Genoa's on the
Like,
board. So Genoa up 1-0 in that game against Verona. So this is bad for Lecce team. This puts them in a really tight spot now, as far as not only, yeah, and it's been graded as a win, so that's great for us, Nick. But yeah, this puts them in an extremely tight spot now, down 4 points, I think, in the
they're
standings now. So they're going to
yeah,
have to overturn this result and hope that Verona can pull a goal back against Genoa. So it's tough now. Parma's plus 150 now, and they were plus 375, plus 400 when we first went to air. Lecce is now plus 140. So Nick, if you're seeing anything, you let me know, score wise, or betting wise, if there's anything that
okay.
you like. No scoring in the other games right now. Bologna, Torino, Sassuolo, Udinese, and I got to give it to Nick. When we talked about games this weekend, I said to him, I think there's going to be some scoring in that Sassuolo Udinese game. Maybe we'll do that one. And Nick put me on to taking this Lecce Parma one. So at least for the first 15 minutes, we've got a goal that we can talk about and a winner that we can talk about.
Yeah, been the opposite trend in the games we've done so far. So it's good to have an early goal to get us excited about. So we'll see. We'll see as this game goes on. Even though again we're on the Parma side, there will be opportunities as we go through this game to perhaps get on the Lecce side. And be able to cash a couple winners on both sides or middle anything. So we'll see. Just kind of game doesn't mean you always have to stick with it. And for one reason or not, there's opportunities the other way. Whether it's you don't like your current position or you like the way the other team's playing and you think something's going to happen to change the flow of the game. So that's what I'm kind of looking for right now. Obviously, I'm not going to look to put any more on our Parma position. I'm going to look for possibly, oh gosh, how do you miss that? Woof.
You all
That was
right there?
another great chance by.
The odds right now on, I guess they're anticipating Lecce to come back in this game because Lecce to score the second goal is actually minus 225. I'm seeing Parma's plus
Wow.
162. But the surprising thing is that Parma isn't going to sit back and try and protect a 1-0 lead. They're not going to do that.
No.
So with Lecce having to push up the field, you've got to think that it actually opens up more opportunities for Parma to counter.
Yeah, they almost just scored. I mean, there was this, as Matthew said, a sitter right there for them, but they miss. But you're right. I mean, another good point about these last weeks is, yeah, just because a team gets up and takes the lead, there's no reason whatsoever to sit back and protect. These guys are out to having fun. So they want to score goals. They could seemingly press this game all the way until the end, even if they're up 1-0, 2-0, 5-0. Why not? They have nothing else to play for after today.
No scores in the other games. So as we're looking over this, just to let you guys know what is upcoming, let's on the 5th, which is Wednesday of this upcoming week, it is we get into cup competition, guys. We've got on Wednesday, let's have a look here. I believe it's the Europa League playoffs. So we have Copenhagen versus Başakşehir. I think I got that right, Nick, from Turkey. We have Shakhtar Donetsk against Wolfsburg, and Inter, Getafe, and Man United over Lask. I'm not really sure what kind of a team Man United is going to have out there for the leg 2 of this game. They won the first game at Lask 5-0, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're up. Yeah, so they probably won't have much, I wouldn't think.
No, I would think you'd want to, only because these things are going to be played in, this tournament's going to be played in the games in quick succession. So this isn't where you play 1 week, you sit off a week, you play another week. These games are going to be played pretty quickly in 3 games apart. So that's on Wednesday. On Thursday, 4 additionally good games. Bayer Leverkusen against Rangers, Sevilla against Roma, Basel against Eintracht Frankfurt, and then Wolves against Olympiacos, and Wolves will need to win this competition if they want to get into Europa League play next season, because they did not get a spot when they lost on the final match day against Chelsea, and had Tottenham leapfrog them. So their only way to play in Europe next season will be to win this Europa League this season, and then that'll get them into the Champions League next season.
Yeah, what a disappointing way to end the season. A great season for Wolves not to be able to get that Europa berth. So I was sad for them to be able to do it, but at least Villa stayed up, which I was happy about as well. So it was a good end of the Premier League. Going back to, I was talking about City in the Champions League and their position. Then I think Parma scored at that time. I don't know. City is just a team that I'm until I think they just get overvalued too often. Yes, they're a very good team. Yes, they have a ton of offense, but they just don't win when they need to.
Yeah,
I went with Bayern at 3-1. I think they looked phenomenal since the restart, and they looked. The one thing hurting them is no football for 3 weeks a month, I guess, going into it. But they looked so good; it was hard to see anybody really, keeping up with them. No, these are the best teams in the world. Anybody can give them a match, but they looked good.
yeah. The one thing, Nick, I have to figure, and we have a goal that it's in the Bologna game, Bologna Torino. Bologna is in front 1-0 over Torino. So every game but the Sassuolo Udinese game have a goal. So had we taken that, and that was Matthias Svanberg scoring that goal. So 18 minutes in. It's a funny thing is the one game that I actually wanted to do is the one game that with no goals yet, Nick. So good call on on switching this one up.
Well, it looks like Sassuolo's had some good chances, so I'll be surprised if there's not a goal in that game rather soon.
The one thing, and going back to the Champions League, with regards to Bayern Munich, they're off. Let's call it like 3 weeks before they get going. The good thing is that they have to play Chelsea in League Two, and they're up 3-0 already. But that is a good game to get their legs back. You know what I mean? To play a game that actually means something, as opposed to playing a friendly. So because Chelsea are gonna bring it, they're gonna try and win this game. So it's good for Bayern to have their full team out there, their starting 11, because 3-0 can be overturned, but I just don't see that happening in Munich by Chelsea. No disrespect to them, but I just don't see that happening.
No, and you're right. That is a good opportunity for Bayern to get some legs back, get some reps back in for it's a game that matters. But what better way to go into a game that you haven't played in a while than being up 3-0? So it's a great position for them to be in. So the one thing I think with Champions League this year that's out of anybody's control, but that was very disappointing, and they had to do it. It's nobody's fault. Is just the fact that we lost the legs, leg one, leg two. I mean, we've talked about it a million times, but each game presents such a unique betting opportunity from leg one to leg two, and where the second game especially is after leg one, and what that forces one team to do and change, and whether it's like, oh, well, it just makes the team play the way they always play, or it forces the team to play differently. It provides such unique opportunities that, I've had really good successes over the years. I think it'll be a little tougher this year, I'll be honest, to, these one legs, to be able to go through the Champions League as successfully. Hopefully we roll through with no problem, but it definitely changes some things. Just like we're seeing in the MLS Cup where, I guess I can't really compare it. It's not the same type of football at all, but it's the same knockout type one game and a neutral venue. So it'll definitely change the way we look at these games going forward. But hey, just another challenge we have to overcome, I guess.
Yeah, just going away from that to these live betting odds, I just want to bring up the fact that we're 23 minutes in, and they have the match total here, at 3.5 minus 175 on the over. The 4.5 was the featured line for a bit and just changed now, but over 4.5 is plus 137, which isn't a uh, um, it, they're not offering you a lot of plus money, and for a game that would need four more goals in order to hit. So the odds are off the board in this game, and another goal for Parma. So I'm actually watching the video right now of the goal being scored. The odds are ahead, and a really nice strike. Caprari. So that's definitely an Italian name. So Nick, what this does is it's given us a win with over 1.5 in the first half.
Yep.
So another win on one of our pregame bets. So that's looking pretty good right now for us. And Parma is now minus 250 to win this game. And this was what we talked about. The Lecce back line was so far up the field that this was a breakaway the other way. In essence, the two guys or three guys from that back line trailing back never had time to set up, and a nice shot into the right over the goalie into the net. So 2-0 Parma. In Bologna, they're probably watching this right now, and they're pretty happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't think this is going to change. I mean, the way I look at it now is you have to continue to do what they've done and continue to push people forward, and that continues to give Parma opportunities. So this total, I think we're going to see plenty more goals this game. I'm not ready to jump on the total where it's probably 5.5. But I'm not ready to jump on that at any point. But I do think we'll continue to see some goals, or at least plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
And all of our pregame positions are good. The only one, I think we still got both teams to score and over 2.5. So all we need is one Lecce goal, obviously, for that.
Yeah, and a lot
of it's looking good.
And it just got worse for Lecce as Genoa has now gone up 2-0 on Verona. And, this is one of those ones where Genoa could likely sit on this lead. They don't need to push forward. A 2-0 scoreline even early, when the other team is losing 2-0, you don't need to take the unnecessary chances and stuff. So, I would actually, as they switch over, just to see the odds in the Genoa game, if it's a high total, I would actually look to probably take the under in that Genoa game. The odds are still off the board in that game, so there could be a VAR review on that. So
that game too. I'm not watching it, but I'm looking at the stats. There's only 2 shots on goal, both are goals.
Yeah.
Versus this game has 6 shots on. So we're seeing a lot more opportunities in this game than that game. So you're right. I like the underplay there.
Yeah. So
but the goals.
Yeah. So they haven't confirmed the goal yet. The odds are off the board. They're showing the referee in that game. They're all kind of standing near midfield in case the game does restart with the goal. But it's a good goal. So it's gone. It's confirmed Genoa at 2-0. And I'm looking at it, and the total right now is 3.5 minus 150 in that game on the over, and the under is plus 120. I would need a little bit more money on the or value on the under to take under 3.5, but at this point here, 2-0 in that game, and especially if it gets to 2-0 at halftime, there's a very good chance we only see one more goal there. Genoa really don't need to push, so unless Verona really gives them an opportunity to attack and get additional goals, there might not be that many goals in this game. Under 4.5, it's too much juice. It's minus 250, and that's got to tell you that they figure a third or fourth goal is likely in this game, but no more than that.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, situationally, that seems like what should happen the rest of that game is park the bus type situation for Genoa. Again, I'm gonna pull up the game on my other screen just so I can watch a little bit of the next 5-10 minutes action there and just see if we can start to see that. I think if we do, that's an opportunity we should look at for perhaps halftime. I'm gonna pull it up on my other screen.
All right. I'm going to keep an eye on a couple of the other games that we have here. Going as far as odds, nothing really happening yet in that Sassuolo game. So I'm going to look at the odds, see what we can find there, see if anything is playable. In a game where I did expect some goals to happen. So sometimes it just takes a while. Even with totals of over 3, I never really panic. You try and get a goal in the first half. obviously in that game, and then the second half you tend to see a lot more. The total there right now is for the over 2.5 is even money. The under is minus 125. I tend to think that there's some goals still, Nick, in that game, so I'm actually going to take the over 2.5 because it did go to plus 110 now. And that's because of the timing of the game. We're nearing the 28th minute, so I'm going to take the plus 110 with that and over 2.5 in a game where we have no goals yet. So I'm good with it. I'll take it, and we'll see what comes of it.
Well, so Swallows had 6 shots on goal. I did see they had one either call. Yeah, they had one called back already too. So they had one in the net, but it was disallowed for offside. So they're putting up the chances. What is Sassuolo on the money line?
They're minus 110 right now. Plus 300 on Udinese and plus 260 on the draw.
Side that, I like Sassuolo. They're the side that's been controlling that game right now. What I've seen.
They play such a fast forward, just a style of play that I like. I mean, they don't have the talent of other teams, but they do try and score goals. This is them. You know what I mean? You look at their games, some of their games. 5-0 last week in midweek against Genoa. They beat them. They played. They lost back-to-back games to Napoli 2-0 and AC Milan 2-1. Those are teams with very good defenses, but they played teams like 3-3 against Juve. Before that, they beat Lazio 2-1, Bologna 2-1. They beat Lecce 4-2, 3-1 over Fiorentina. So they were stringing, and then 3-3 against Verona. And these are all games that were played after the break with the restart. They're a team that likes to play a fast-paced type game, and it's enjoyable to watch if you're a fan of the game. No one ever likes that team that plays like the Burnley style or whatever, that they just sit back and defend.
Unless you're on the under.
Unless you're on the under, yeah.
But then you always say it's hard to watch the unders. Yeah. I want to watch this game and see nothing happen.
Yeah, I can't do that. Just can't do it. It's one of those things where if I have an under, like I told you, I don't actually watch the game. I'll check the score 30 minutes into the game. Hope to see 0-0. I'll check it at halftime, and then I'll check it usually about 20 to 30 minutes into the second half, and then if it's 1-0 or 2-0, I'll tune into the game and watch the last 15 minutes and sort of sweat it out. It's really tough to watch a game you have the under on.
Yeah, and I would have thrown something through the window if I was watching the game earlier this afternoon that they lost in the last 5 minutes with 2 goals. So another reason it's hard to watch unders.
Well, it's a good thing.
I got a guest appearance that just happened to walk by.
The little one?
He doesn't have his Parma jersey on though right now.
I have to get him a Parma jersey along with the German one.
Hey, say hi to the peoples. No, he's being shy. Come on. He just got out of the pool. We were doing swimming before the game. So he's ready to get back in it after this one's over.
He's like,
right, buddy?
Like, find some winners. Find some winners, Dad. What is someone posted a quarter plus a quarter on the Asian line. Yeah, I'm seeing.
That means from this point forward.
From this.
Right?
That's from the 2-0 forward. So just imagine if you're placing that bet, the score right now is 0-0. It's from this point forward, the plus. The Parma are a pick'em on the Asian pick plus 113. So if you take them in this game and they end up winning by 2 goals, it's a push. If they win by 3 or more, that pick'em bet does win at plus 113. What else we got going?
I'm watching. I have the Sassuolo game on. I have the Sassuolo game on right now to kind of see the action here as we have that over 2.5. See what's happening a bit. I like the Sassuolo side. I'm going to see if they keep pushing and maybe recommend some on that side.
Is that a soccer ball or is that one of those Italian bocce balls there? Right. Maybe teach them how to play bocce.
Hey, Little mini volleyball. I got to get him a little soccer ball.
That's it. To start them early. Figure out what the sport is, Nick, and then get yourself a good agent.
He does have this too, this little golf club.
Oh, that's right. Uh, for those who don't know, Nick, obviously Nick is a very good golfer, and does have his. You have a PGA card, don't you?
Yes.
All right. All the more reason to make sure you pick up Nick's picks and stuff. Just before I throw it back to Nick, because I need to get some water, and I'll probably do that at halftime. I'm running short. I've gone through 2 bottles because I'm yapping too much. But you'll see a couple promos on the board there. One is for the Champions in Europa League, $99 for all the plays that start on Wednesday and go until the Champions League final, which is this year in Portugal. They got moved from Turkey, so it's in Portugal and on August the 23rd. So you'll get every single play that we release in those two competitions for $99. Or the new season starts in August with France's League One, and then in the first or the second week of September, we Spain, Italy, England all starting. Plus, there are some Europa and Champions League qualifiers for next season. You can get that's usually $9.99. You can get it for $6.99. There's still a couple coupon codes that will work. Nick 4, 5, or 6, and then obviously Carm 4, 5, or 6 to get $300 off. And if you pick up one of those packages over the next day or two, throw an email over to Missy, but we will start that in September, that package for you. So it won't start right away, but we'll give you every single Champions League and Europa League game for free until your package actually starts. So it's another $99 deal. So you're literally getting $400 in value on that soccer package.
Yeah, definitely a good deal, and I can't wait. This is exciting that we're really only taking a month, 6 weeks off between league seasons, with then Champions in Europa to fill the time. The one disappointment was we missed out on the Euros this summer. I love, just as much as I like the league play, I really love the international teams and watching them get to play with each other, because they're we don't see them as often, and they present a lot of fun opportunities to bet on. So a little disappointing with this year, of course, with missing out on that, but we'll have that next summer, and I'm sure we'll have some live shows to do while that's going on, Carm.
Yeah, it's as we're watching, there's the corner kicks, which I don't usually, or I missed out on the corner kicks, putting a bet in and stuff. I think they were a little high, and I think that's why I skipped it. I think the Asian corner kicks, Nick, were at 11.5, and I thought, wow, that's a lot higher than it normally is.
I saw 12.5, so I agree. It was one of the two. It was a little higher than I wanted
Yeah.
as well.
I guess in a game where you expect a lot of goals, you expect a lot of action, in the final third of each team's end. So you figure you're going to get, not only corner kicks, but like multiple corner kicks, where one corner leads to another corner needs to that, which we saw in the FA Cup game yesterday, and stuff. But one of the things where we have 4 guys that do soccer at WagerTalk. Kevin also does it. Kevin Dolan and Pavlos also do it. But I do know, and this is why when I talk about buying the 1 year package, whether it's mine or whether it's Nick and I are probably, actually not probably, we're definitely the 2 most high volume soccer guys on the site. We release a ton of plays, and even when the European season is over, Nick does South American soccer, Brazil, Argentina. I think he also does. We both do Mexico. Obviously, the regular MLS and not this MLS tournament, which I absolutely hate and suck at. There's no two ways about it, Nick. I've had a terrible, and I usually do extremely well, but this has been a terrible MLS tournament, for me and stuff. But there's a lot, and as you pointed out on Twitter yesterday, Nicaragua is back.
I couldn't wait to see, when I saw that. We missed opening weekend. Well, I missed the opening couple games. It was such a fun league, I think, to fill the time. This year was Nicaragua, and with it being not only the only soccer league going on, it was the only sport at the time. I mean, we were seeing for soccer, we were seeing line swings like just unbelievable. Teams opening as maybe minus 100 favorites, going up to over minus 200 by a 24-hour period or by kickoff. And just because there was nothing else out there and there was so much action going on one side or the other. So it was a fun league to be involved with. Learned a little bit about the teams and who's who. I don't know how much I'll be really paying attention to it, to be honest, going forward. But as we get into August a little deeper here and it really starts to slow down, and especially if MLS doesn't really, because right now I don't really know what the plan is for the rest of the regular season. If there isn't a lot of action, I may look at a few. Mostly likely just give them out as some free plays. But definitely something I may throw a couple bucks on because that league was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, the plan for MLS, and I see the odds have come off the board in the Lecce game. Lecce is on the board now. It looks, it is 2-1 in the game right now. So Lecce have pulled one back as they grab the ball and race back to midfield with 39 minutes left. So, yeah, it's still tough for Lecce because of the fact that Genoa is up 2-0. But this does, at 2-1, the thing it's going to do is it's going to provide for a lot more action in that second half. And the match total now is the 5.5 is plus 110 right now in this game. So if you're figuring in on a couple, you're going to need 3 more goals, but it's actually 110 now. So it looks like this might go to VAR, this goal. So we're just waiting to see what is going. The odds have come down, and we'll wait to see what's going on as far as VAR in this game. I'm not sure.
Well, I hope it sticks. We got the both teams to score over 2.5, so that would cash that one for us. Well, let's hope it sticks.
Yeah,
I have the assessment on my screen right now. It really isn't that exciting. A couple chances, kind of both ways, but nothing too good. So, not really seeing a lot in this game. I'm going to try to switch to
the odds are back
to another one.
The odds are back on the screen with Parma at minus 138, but they're showing replays of the goal. So the goal looks fine to me, and it is. So that's another win for us with both teams to score and over 2.5. So if you guys followed, congratulations. And yes, Robert, another review at VAR. They're probably checking their tickets before they decide whether to make the goal count or not. So some guy probably just checked. Yeah, he has over 2.5 and both teams to score, and he's like, the goal is good.
This is good.
So, the other games are pretty much a stalemate right now. No goals in the Sassuolo Udinese game. Bologna, Torino are at 1-0 for Bologna. I'd really like to see another goal in that game if possible. As
you had over something?
Yeah, I've got over 1.5 in that game. So having gotten that goal early, I thought it was a good thing. So I'm just switching over to that game, and I do see the odds are off the board on that game as well too. So we may have something happening in that game. Odds are back on. Bologna is plus 334 in that game. Draw is plus 450, and Torino plus 800. Which is a surprise. Because we're still in the first half. I'm not sure what kind of a lineup Torino has in that game. I would have figured Belotti would have stayed in the game, but Simone Zaza looks like just missed. He just missed the golden opportunity to score there in the game. This is the man who took quite possibly one of the worst penalties for the Italian national team I've ever seen, where he tiptoed up to the goal. He took about 13 tiptoes to the goal before he took a shot and completely whiffed it. So I wouldn't expect anything more than what this guy did just now in missing but it is Zaza and Belotti up front for Torino. So we'll see if they can get us a goal at some point.
It was a bad turnover. Lecce's got to be able to score on that. They had 3 guys on the goalie and nobody back. That's pretty terrible. That's why this team shouldn't be.
Nick, is Lasagna playing today for Udinese? It looks like Genoa, by the way, is about to.
Very well might.
Looks like Genoa is about to score in that Verona game. I've got the alert that they may have scored, and they have. So it is 3-0 now for Genoa, and you have to know that these players from Lecce, when they go into the dressing room, they're going to be made aware, if they don't know already, what the score is, and it's going to absolutely gut them coming into the second half. So it's pride more than anything else in the second half for Lecce, but we have to figure out what the strategy is going into this second half as far as this Lecce Parma game go.
Yeah, there's nothing Lecce can do, unfortunately. They had a hope that Genoa didn't win for them to have a chance, but if Genoa wins, they were up a point to begin with. There's nothing they can do. So you're right. They're going to go in dejected for sure. Maybe that provides us something opportunity. I don't know what it is. We'll see what these numbers look like. I mean, everything to me right now is just screaming more goals. So it'll be interesting to see what the second half goal line will come out as, because these teams look like they just want to continue to have fun and push forward and score. And I don't think Lecce is ready to give up, even though they know their chances are probably gone.
No, and they haven't, because they've just equalized, and it is now 2-2 in the game. This is crazy. We've got 4 goals in the game. We're getting a ton of goals. I want you, but you know what this game is really missing, Nick, is a penalty.
True. We could use one.
We do have a penalty, but that's crazy. And Lecce are now favored to win this game at plus 105. The draw is plus 250. Parma is also plus 250. It's funny. I need to check our betting odds, because we actually have exact score 2-2 in this game. We didn't expect it to be 2-2 at halftime, but I'm just looking to see what they're offering us as far as that goes.
Did you screw up and take the first half correct score 2-2?
No,
because that would be cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Here's the crazy thing, Nick, is 2-2. The original bet obviously returned 12-1 odds. They're offering us just a little under our original stake to cash out now.
Okay.
So I think we should cash out at this point, because there's going to be more goals in this game, correct?
Yeah, I was hoping you were they're going to offer us $1 to cash out.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I was hoping you were going to say they were going to offer us $1 to cash out.
No, they were offering us $2 less than our initial wager. Literally $2 less than our initial wager, which
That's okay.
is a surprise for an exact score. I understand that the thing that they could go the whole second half with no goals, but there's no indication whatsoever at this point that there's no goals to come in the second half. There's got to be goals. So I'm just looking at this. What else we have going here? The Bologna game still has a few minutes left, because it did start late. It is 1-0. They're plus 350. The Sassuolo game has gone to halftime. They're minus 110, Nick. So if you want to take that minus 110 on Sassuolo, let me know, and we'll put that and make that official play on the show.
I was watching, statistically speaking, they have 7 shots on goal already. I was watching the 10-minute span. I was watching they weren't impressive. So perhaps a lot of the action was happening in the other 35 minutes, but that 10 minutes I flipped over to watch it, I was like, nah, I don't see any reason to do that. But by the numbers, they look like the team. So I would say no right now. I'm going to tune into that on another screen for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and I'll try to find an opportunity for us in that first 10 minutes.
Right.
But let's hold off right now.
The odds came off on the Bologna game. A player did go down in the box. Play continued on. The ref got a good glimpse of it. But the odds are off. So unless once the ball goes out of play, it goes to VAR. Um, I don't know yet, but right now they're in the second minute of injury time in the Bologna game, and the odds are off the board. So we'll have to see once play comes to a stop whether they go to VAR or not.
Who went down? Which team?
It looked like it was a Bologna player that did go down in the box. So play has stopped now, and they're showing the replay. So we'll see what comes of it. The odds are still down. And then I'll take that opportunity while Nick, you chatted up, that I grab some more water here.
Sounds good.
And
All
then
right.
we'll answer some questions of anyone who does have a question.
Well, there were definitely some questions earlier in the chat. I'm going to roll back up to and try to look at. Let's see.
And while you're going through that, okay, there was a quick review. There's nothing, so it's still about 90 seconds left in the first half of the Bologna-Torino game. Still 1-0 Bologna. 2-2 in the Lecce game. No score in the Sassuolo game, and Genoa is still 3-0. They're in the 5th minute of injury time in that game. One thing, Nick, excuse me, as we're looking at these games and stuff, is I hate to say it, guys, just in talking sports, but I hate to say it, but with what is going on in baseball, I think they did it wrong. You have players pulling out, you have games getting canceled. I hate to say it, but I believe that baseball is going to get canceled this coming week. I hope it doesn't, because we need more sports on TV as a distraction to everything else that's going on. But I have to believe that with what is going on right now, that there's a very good possibility that the baseball season does get nixed. Everything you're reading online right now sort of indicates it, from both major league players talking about pulling out and not continuing on, to beat writers, and even teams supporting their players who have decided, like Lorenzo Cain from Milwaukee, who decided, he's not gonna continue on the season. So it sucks, but this is where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I hope it continues. I have a fantasy baseball team, so I definitely want it to continue for that regard. But it's hard. I mean, the models that the NBA is using and hockey is using and the MLS tournament was using of keeping everybody isolated seems to be the only way that this is going to be able to happen. So the NFL is sitting back watching this, right? Seeing what's happening in the MLB and seeing there's no mistakes that are being made. It's just the reality of the situation of it's impossible to keep everybody, quarantined or isolated from being possibly infected. So with traveling, even though it's regional and they're keeping it to just division games, I mean, Philly and Miami are in the same division. So, how much limit of travel is there really? It's still plenty of travel, and you're traveling from one hot spot to maybe a non-hot spot, and no matter what you do, it's very difficult. So unfortunately, I don't know. I have a gut feeling that you're probably right on this, and I would be very interested to see what happens with the NFL in the next coming weeks. Listen, maybe this is it, and maybe nothing else happens, then NFL holds tight. But if another team or two, and they start to postpone more games, comes down for MLB, I mean, you got to imagine NFL is going to be trying to figure out an alternative to just playing at their own stadiums. But all eyes are definitely going to be on the MLB, these teams, the next week or two, to understand what could possibly happen, because the situation is not going to get any better for a while.
Yeah, it really isn't. And before I go jetting to my fridge to grab a couple more drinks, You look at, if you're following along the news, you look at the New England Patriots in the NFL. They had their eighth player now declare himself out for the season, not going to play. He's going to stay home with his family. This is one of those things that you hope, okay, let's hope that's it for New England and no one else pulls out. But as players or that other players see, well, that guy's out, so I'm just going to do the same thing. And and then you get a mass exodus of players who just don't want to play. And then what are you left with? You have to kind of do it. So just wanted to go off on a tangent there. Hopefully not. We need, unfortunately, in this world, we need a distraction, and maybe this is what we need: sports. We need some sports. We need something on TV keeps us in, and if you're working from home and what have you. Um, I think Jay asked about Bologna Torino draw. In watching Jay, just in watching the last 15 minutes of that game on my screen, I've got one game on one and Lecce one on the other one. Um, Torino just looked lifeless in the first half. They just looked lifeless. They have a good team in there, but they're plus 900, which I never see with a team only up 1-0. You would figure they're plus 500 to come back and win the game. I'm actually looking the other way, and I'm looking at the Asian handicap, and Bologna are minus a half plus 104, and then they're minus one plus 3.1, which is uh, essentially two to one on your money, almost 3 to 1 on your money, including your original bet. So that's actually something I might actually look at taking, Nick, because I think there's another goal in it for Bologna here, and they are favored as far as the second goal of the game. They're favored to get the second goal of the game at minus 138, but that's something I'm actually going to look at taking for the second half here. So I'm going to let you go at it, Nick, for a sec, guys. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back with some, because I don't want to be coughing in the mic.
Get yourself some water. All right, so live lines I'm looking at now is the game that we obviously started with, Lecce and Parma, is 2-2. The total is 5.5 at minus 200 or 6.5 at plus 150. So 6.5, that means 3 more goals plus 150. 3 goals and a half, even though we saw 4 in the first half, is a lot to ask for. This game does seem ripe for it, but as Carr mentioned earlier, as these games go later, and Lecce, they're going into halftime now. They're going to know that score of the Genoa game, and as this game goes later and later and later, they're not going to throw in the towel, but they're going to be coming to the realization that they're probably not going to be making it, and this game will end up being not meaning anything for them. So I'm a little leery on taking the over here in the second half, just because I think subs may happen. Teams may, as we get towards the late part of the game, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, may really start to just kind of play it out and not push as hard. Everything says more goals, but I don't think it's worth it for me.
All right.
5.5. I was hoping to get 5.5, but minus 200 is just way too high to go. So I was just talking about, Carm, that I didn't really like the total line over in the second half right now.
What's the number at?
It's at 5.5 minus 200 and 6.5 plus 150, and that's 3 goals at plus 150, which screams like it would happen. But we know 3 goals and a half can usually be a lot. And as Lecce learns their fate here going into halftime, and most likely in the second half, they may not have it in them to finish this game.
All right, Nick, just to let you know, I've added a bet in the Bologna game. Torino could come out in the second half and look like a completely different team, or having started all their players and this being a nothing game, they could very well, in the second half, make their 5 substitutions and get some players into the game that wouldn't normally play. This has no bearing for them as far as the regular season goes. As far as like the standings go, right now, looking at the final standings, they sit in 16th place. Coming back and winning this game doesn't even put them into 15th place, so it doesn't really matter to them. Bologna, a win puts them tied with Fiorentina in the top half of the league. You know what I mean? Not real much stake in that and such, but I'm just looking at, uh, you know, they started a pretty good team, but they've got a bunch of young guys on the bench that they could easily get into the game. So I laid the -1 goal with Bologna. So they're obviously going to need 2 goals in the second half to win that bet. But if they actually win the second half by a goal, it'll be a push on that bet. And then one more thing before we actually get to the second half of this game. The score of the Sassuolo Udinese game is 2-0. Oh, sorry, is scoreless. I'm going to give away. All I have left is XL sized the Azzurri shirts, the blue Italian national team jerseys. So give me your final score in that game. And if there's a couple guys who are tied or who have the same final score, I'll draw a name out of those guys at the end of the show, and that winner will get the jersey. So Sassuolo Udinese final score to win a jersey.
I like it. I'm struggling right now. I'm looking at that number. I either want to take Sassuolo. They've been the better side statistically in that first half. I think it'll continue. They're -110 to win or -150 to score the first goal, and then we don't have to worry about it after that. Any thoughts, Carm?
I feel the same way. Just then, Sassuolo's just had such a good season that you'd figure they want to end it with just end it with a win at home. So I'm looking at the odds and they're like -110 right now. So it's just you. I'm going to throw this one to you, Nick, on whether you want me to take them or not. I've got it loaded right in front of me. So if you say yes, I'll pull the trigger.
Well, here's my thought. If they're going to win, they're probably going to score first. Like if they go down and they're not the first one to score, I don't think they're going to win. So I would, taking them first goal. I know it's worst price, -150. At least if they go ahead and take the lead, as we think, we don't have to worry about them having Udinese come back and tie it up and get beat late.
Okay, so Sassuolo,
like them first.
Sassuolo to score the first goal, correct?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yep.
I'm watching the screen. They're coming out of the dressing room. So we will take Sassuolo to score the first goal, and we are locked and loaded. So.
All right, Sassuolo. I'm going to have that one on the second screen.
Right. So as far as our initial wagers on this game, pre-game, we had over 1.5 first half. That's a win. Parma +1. That's still in play and good. Over 2.5 goals, and yes, for both teams to score, that is a win. We had draw. Correct score 2-2. And because the current score is 2-2 and we expected more goals and they're offering us just a little less than what we wagered on, I cashed that one out, so we don't have to worry about that one. We had an own goal at +800. That hit with the first goal of the game, so that was a winner. We still have a penalty to be awarded, so at +150. So hopefully we'll see that. Brian, you're in at 1-0. You guys can choose the same score, so don't worry about if someone else has chosen a score that you wanted. Choose that one. I will pick one of the names out at the end. I'll jot them down as well too, and then we'll figure it out. Or I'll post on Twitter the winner. Nick, while I'm jotting them down, you go ahead.
The Sassuolo game is first one back in field, so I'm just putting that one on right now. While we kind of wait for these games to come back, what's your thoughts on the Final Four here of the MLS? I know we both talked about it, and we both liked LAFC. Looked very, very good. Of course, they're a hard team not to like. But we actually both liked San Jose, and they got beat pretty soundly by Minnesota last night.
Yeah, and this is sorry, Nick. I'm just I'm at a loss for words on how unpredictable and tough this tournament has been to bet. I said it early on in the tournament, and And even going into last night's game, I thought that San Jose was the best prepared team in this tournament for the style that they play, because they play a style in which they man mark you. So guys don't really lose shape unless they lose the player that they're supposed to be marking, and they create turnovers and they score goals, and they were doing it. And then I didn't catch the game because I was out I took a friend out for his birthday, and my phone lights up and I see 1-0. I see 2-0. Just seconds later, I'm like, you got to be shitting me. What the hell's going on here? And it just, I haven't even seen the highlights because I just can't watch them. I'm just like, I'm just, just can't believe it.
Been a very difficult tournament to predict. I mean, listen, you got teams that were off for 3.5 months. You got teams isolated in one location, playing on neutral fields, playing in Florida, which is hot, and you had to add the tired factor into it. It's been very unpredictable. You're right. And now with 4 teams left, we have a 25% chance of getting right who's going to win, right?
Listen, okay, so I'm going to post on Twitter of the 4 teams that are left. I'm going to post 3 teams I think will win, and then you guys take the 4th and bet the mortgage on it, because that 4th was probably the one that's going to come in. Listen, I have no problems ever cutting myself up if I'm doing bad and just saying, hey, Bianco, you suck, or whatever, that's a terrible pick or whatever. It's just how it is, you know what I mean? Let's not sugarcoat it. If you run bad, you run bad, and when you run good, you're never as good as your best streak, and you're never as bad as your worst streak. That's the way I look at it.
100% true. And it's time to move on to the Champions League, is what I hear.
Yes, let's see what the team whose T-shirt I'm wearing, what they can do. But if they play anything like they've played the last 5-6 games of the season, they might not even get by Lyon. So
you think they'd have the advantage playing Lyon, having at least been playing recently, versus Lyon not, even though they did get that one cup game in Friday. But you're right, they haven't been defensively, they haven't been the same sound side that wins 2-0 every game. So hopefully they, for your case, I like Juve, but hopefully for your case they can right that ship. I think they have a good chance to win that first game, but I don't know. Who do they play the second round if they do? They play Madrid or City,
yeah,
right?
They play Madrid or City. And, Dybala might not even be ready in time for the Lyon game. They're cautiously optimistic that Dybala will play in the Lyon game, but, I'm not sure. He wasn't supposed to play a game 3 games back, and then ended up playing the game because Higuain, who was set to replace him in that game, got injured in the warm-ups before the game, and Dybala played and then came out a little later on. So he's a guy who his back was giving him issues, and then from his back it became a muscular injury. So it's one of those things. These guys are playing a condensed schedule. They before this game against Roma, I talked about on Friday's show, they had played 5 games in 12 days, which is why I figured they would be resting players. And then when I did hear that, some of the under 23, the Juventus under 23 team were brought in to Turin, and we're going to be put into the lineup or on the bench as well too. I just figured it was a good play against with them on the weekend. So. Lecce Parma are coming back onto the field, Nick. So they're there, and looks like they're ready to go for the second half.
Well, I mean, this is one of those games we did so well on them pregame. It's hard to, want to force anything into that second half. But I'm glad we got something going on the Sassuolo game. But again, let's see how these first 10 minutes of Lecce Parma come out. If they come out firing still and the total drops a little bit, or one side looks better than the other, we'll certainly look to add something to this match. So, but very happy that we hit a lot of those pregame bets in the first half.
So we have Sassuolo to score first as our added bets. We also have the over in that game. So we'd really need some goals in that game, but that's at plus 110 over 2.5. Looking at what else we might have as far as wagers in play. We have Bologna. We took Bologna on the Asian handicap -1 for the second half. Anything else, Nick, that you can remember that we have? And we're still in play on the Parma game. So
Yeah, it's the only other
yeah,
one.
so we
Yeah,
have a few
that's
goals.
it.
We have Parma +1, and we have a penalty to be awarded in that game. So it would be really nice if a penalty was awarded to Parma in the game. That would solidify that 1-0, or sorry, the +1, and get us the penalty.
You got Parma to convert. Well, I guess not convert, but score the first goal, an own goal. Now you're asking for a penalty. Man, you're greedy.
Well, I was happy about the own goal because that own goal literally covers every single bet that we put in pregame. Uh,
Yep.
At plus 800. So those don't always hit, but they sure as heck are pretty good when they do.
I'm tuned into the Sassuolo game right now.
Yeah, I've got it on there as well too. So I'm hoping for a goal from is it Caputo? That guy seems to be scoring and did so in the game against Genoa, I think, where they beat him like 5-0 or whatever. Um,
Yeah, it was just he scored two in
and
that
of
game.
course, Nick Udinese scored the first goal.
Oh my god!
But yeah, I need goals for this game, so over 2.5 will give us a shot here. So we lose on the Sassuolo to score first wager, but the um, we do have the over 2.5 in play now there. So hopefully we can get some goals.
Well,
It does not look like there's any VAR review at all. So because the odds are still up on the board.
well, that was my loss. Chalk that one up to me.
All right, that comes out of your pay at the end of the show. Just let me know what I owe you, and then I'll just deduct it. But so yeah, so it's 1-0 there. Finally on the board there. They had 9 corners in that first half of that game, which is a lot of corners in that game.
Yeah.
So this is one of those ones where I think there's more goals in the game. So we'll just have to wait out and see how that goes. But anyone who has Matt, you have 2-1 Sassuolo, so a couple of Sassuolo goals. You'll be looking good. Jay and Robert, you both had 1-1 there, so you guys still have a shot here with if Sassuolo score, and that's how the game ends. Then I'll just flip a coin on you guys to see who gets the jersey.
All right, I'm gonna put back on the Lecce game right now.
Nick, any action in late soccer today? Like any games in Brazil or Mexico for you?
There are two games tonight, one at 6 and one at 8 Eastern in Mexico. And I do have a play on the late game, yes. So that's going tonight. I won last night, Pachuca +1. So it's been a good start so far to Liga MX just in its second week. Brazil starts next week, Serie A, so I'm excited for that. I did really well with them last year. They're normally a league I look at because they run in the summer like MLS, so they run opposite the European schedule until maybe the second part of the season they start to overlap once the European League. So this year there won't be as much time. There'll only be about a month that this league is going without the European leagues going, so I might not be as invested in them later into the season, but I'm certainly going to be looking at them the first month or two because there won't be any other action going on with the European League. So that starts next weekend, so I'm excited for that.
Okay, and let me turn on my mic there. Just looking at like Wednesday's games, guys, because we're talking about like obviously the Europa League goes Wednesday. Just looking at Thursday, 4 other Europa games. So we've got 8 between the 2 days. We head into Friday. Obviously Friday, the first 2 of 4 League 2 games in Champions League. Juventus at home to Lyon, Man City Juventus are down 1-0 in that game, so not only do they need to win that game, but they need to make sure they keep Lyon off the score sheet. If Lyon score a goal, Juventus will need 3 goals in that game to advance. Man City return home with a 2-1 second leg lead over Real Madrid. That'll be played also at 3 o'clock on Saturday, both games. Friday. Then on Saturday, a couple good ones. Barcelona at home at Camp Nou against Napoli. They drew at in Napoli 1-1. Nick, Parma is on the board. It is now 3-2 Parma.
That's perfect. Penalty?
No, unfortunately, it was not a penalty.
That's okay. Keep knocking them in. We're good with that.
Did not see who the goal scorer was.
Again, this just proves my point from the beginning of the game. I just don't understand. Again, I know the situation. Lecce needs to win. Yes, Parma doesn't have anything to play for, but they're going to put a team on the field. And how do you lay a goal on a team that was actually literally the worst of the big five leagues as far as expected goals against this year, Lecce? The worst team in all the big five. How do you trust them laying a goal? And that's where my thought process on this game came from. It's just I can't. I simply can't.
Yeah, it looks like the goal was scored by Cornelius. So Cornelius makes it 3-2. And it also makes me feel good about the fact that we did cash out our exact score 2-2 instead of holding on to it and praying for a goal or something, right? So that worked out pretty good for us, I think. Barcelona at home at Camp Nou, 3 o'clock on Saturday against Napoli. Napoli need, with Barcelona having gotten the away goal there, Napoli need to win this game. So any Napoli win sends them through to the quarterfinals. Any draw that is not 1-1 or 0-0 will also send Napoli through to the next round on away goals. So if this game finishes 0-0, Barcelona are through. Finishes 1-1. Then they will go to extra time and penalty kicks in that game. I'm sure we're going to see some goals in that game, I would hope. And then Bayern Munich up 3-0. I think that game finished 3-0, Nick, at Stamford.
Yeah. Yep.
So Chelsea will need, obviously, to match that score line or win 4-1, which would send them through. So never say never, I say. I remember Juventus, Real Madrid with Ronaldo came to the Allianz and beat Juventus 3-0 in Leg 1. Juventus went back to Madrid and were leading 3-0 in that game and was heading to extra time before Michael Oliver awarded a penalty in, I think, the 90th minute or so to Real Madrid. Buffon also got a red card for handling Michael Oliver. I'm not sure if he touched him or what he did to him. And Madrid won that game 3-1. But it just shows you it was 3-0 in the 90th, so anything is possible. But this Bayern team I think is too good.
Oliver is your favorite ref, isn't he?
He certainly is. I send him a Christmas card every year.
Yeah, the Napoli-Barca one is a tough one for me. Yeah, I think both teams have just been. Honestly, I know Barcelona was in the lead of the league all year and they finished second, but that's a disappointment. And they've been a disappointing side as far as their results go this year. They've lost a lot they shouldn't have. They haven't looked nearly as good as they should have. Napoli obviously missed out on everything. Well, they won the cup, so they did get Europa berth that way, correct? But otherwise, league play, they were disappointing. So that's a tough one for me. I have to look further into that one. Just a quick thought on it is I can't really choose a side right now. You'd have to believe everything tells you Barcelona at home generally pull through, but I don't know. They've been weird, I guess, this year, is the least I can say. But they usually have the advantage. Do you know? I actually haven't looked at that particular game's line. Do you know what that line is right now for Barcelona?
I can bring it up, absolutely. So our Champions League lines here, and we'll talk about some Europa lines too, with the guys as well too. But looking at the Champions League game, Barcelona's minus 163 Napoli is plus 425, and the draw is plus 300 in that game. To qualify, Barcelona is plus 250. Napoli is plus 175. So um, that only comes into effect, that to qualify line, if the game was tied at 1-1 after 90 minutes and goes to extra time and penalties. Um,
Did you
then that comes into
say
it.
that Napoli is actually the favored to qualify team?
No,
Did you say that right?
no, Napoli's plus 175. Barcelona is minus 250.
Oh, minus 250. I thought you said plus 250.
No,
I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, no. If it was
Okay,
plus
okay, got
250, I would say Nick, take over the chat while I keep hitting
it.
bet Barcelona, bet Barcelona, bet Barcelona type thing on this, right? So, and it's funny. You look at the score lines, the exact scores, and the lowest price being offered for exact scores is 1-1 at plus 700. Then the next three lowest are all on the Barcelona side at 2-1 plus 750, 2-0 at plus 800, and 1-0 plus 850. Those are all on the Barcelona side. But the cheapest price being offered right now is plus 700 on 1-1 for exact score.
Well, again, history tells you Barcelona at home is the way you think there, but I don't think there's a lot of value in that current number. What'd you say, minus 163 or something? So that's probably a game. I have to look maybe at the total. Those are. I'm guessing the total is probably low though too, at 2 3/4 maybe. If it's 3, I'd look to the under. If it's 2 3/4, that's a tough play. But I feel like the under is a good play in that game as well. Those teams generally play each other pretty well defensively.
Yeah. Alistair, we have Parma plus 1, so I do hope that they win. And now that they're up 3-2, I wouldn't mind if they awarded Lecce a penalty kick for it to finish 3-3, because we will still win our bets there, and we have a penalty to be awarded. So we're good as far as that goes. Another game I want to touch on, Nick, is the thing with the Barca one is the line looks low, but here's the thing is. Uh, Barcelona don't have to score to win this game.
True.
True. Not to win the game. Barcelona don't have to score a goal to advance. So,
True.
Hypothetically, in that second half, if the score if it's still 0-0, and we can't, never say never on any score line, but they don't need to score. Or in the second half, like if it's 1-1 in the last 10 minutes, yeah, they're going to be trying to score, but they also know that let's not get scored on. Let's get it to extra time and things. There's so many dynamics at play that you start to feel a little uneasy if it's 0-0 in the second half, and you're like, because they did play a tight one in Napoli, so at the San Paulo. So let's not say that there aren't any goals or there are a lot of goals in this game. Barcelona weren't scoring a lot of goals to finish off the season either. So we'll just have to see. I don't want to lay 163 here when a team doesn't need to win to advance. So that's sort of the biggest thing here.
Correct. The total is at 3, actually, and I do like the under in that game. The one thing that sucks for these teams that go home, they're typically the team that plays on the road and then goes home for the second game usually has the advantage. But the one thing that's negative, and we saw this with the Atletico Madrid Liverpool game, is that if the game goes to extra time, you bring up a point. Like, let's say it's 1-1. There's 10 minutes left, right? Barcelona definitely wants to try to score, because whether they get one goal on them in that rest of those 10 minutes or in extra time, they're now trailing by 2, because that goal, whether it's an extra time or regular time, still counts as an away goal. Yeah. And that's a disadvantage for the home side, especially when you get late in the game. We saw it with Atletico Madrid. They scored in extra time. They ended up scoring another one, and it didn't matter. But that effectively, I don't want to say put the game away, but made it very, very, very difficult for Liverpool now to come back on. Just because they scored 1, Liverpool all of a sudden had to score 2 to even have to be able to move on. Otherwise, they were out. So it does provide a unique opportunity again in that game too. That second goal by Napoli, if it came in extra time, really puts the hammer down on Barcelona. But anyway, I do like the under in that game. I think that usually second legs are high scoring, but I think this one might be a more tight affair. Neither team's going to want to give up much here.
Yeah, the other game on obviously on Saturday is the Bayern Munich Chelsea game. This is probably the game I'll be watching of the two. Excuse me, the one I'll be watching of the two, just because I love the way this Bayern team play. They're minus 275. The draw's plus 425, and Chelsea is plus 650 in this game. Let's forget about the to qualify odds, because unless you have 50K to put down on Bayern Munich to win $100, it's really not worth it to bet that one. Again, another tough one because they won the first game 3-0. There's no urgency for this team to win this game. So Chelsea. If Chelsea go ahead and they have a 1-goal lead in the second half, let's say the score could be 2-1 for Chelsea in the second half. Are Bayern really pushing the play? I'm not really sure. No team wants to lose, but then at the same time, no team that is up 3 goals. I sort of lost my train there. Is you don't want to be laying. Sometimes 275, even though, they're a good team. They won 3-0 away at Stamford Bridge, and they should win this game. It's a game where, in the second half, if it's still tied, I feel a little uneasy about laying 275 on a team that doesn't need to win. So the mentality is a little different. I'm not sure if I'm making my point the way it's in my head, but this is what where I'm going at with these games. Sometimes I'll look at the total more than anything else.
I'm going to be watching that game too because I have a future position on Bayern. I want to see how they kind of come out that first game back. So that'll be why I'm really watching that game. Probably won't be on much as far as that particular game goes, but I'll definitely be watching. Genoa with a red card, Carm. So a small sliver of hope for Lecce here. Verona needs to rally off 3, but I guess there's hope.
Yes, the combo of 2 Lecce goals and 3 goals by Verona against Genoa, the odds of that would be absolutely astronomical. So yeah, nothing really happening in that Torino game, Torino Bologna. It's actually quite boring right now. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to touch on 1 or 2 more games in Champions League. This one is an interesting one, and this one goes on August the 13th. So this is a quarterfinal game. Red Bull Leipzig and Atletico Madrid. Red Bull is plus 220. The draw is plus 225. And Atletico is plus 125. There is no home. Well, on paper, the home team is Leipzig, but this game is being played in Portugal. And Leipzig, of course, will be without Timo Werner, who is now in London training with the Chelsea team. Ineligible to play for Chelsea, so he cannot play in those Champions League games, could not play in the FA Cup game, but he was there with the team. Here's the thing about Atletico. I think because these games are all one-offs, like Nick said. Nick, they're one-offs. There's no 2-leg thing going on here, and I took Atletico Madrid at plus 800 when these odds came out after the draw. The updated odds came out of the draw to win the Champions League, and my thought was this: they don't need to play any extra games. I think. No disrespect to Red Bull Leipzig, but of the 3 teams on that side of the bracket, they probably got the easier of the ones for the style that they play, a very defensive style, and they're in form. And then they'll play the winner of Atalanta PSG, and Again, no disrespect to either of those two teams, but I think I'm a defense guy, defense first. And Atletico could very easily make it to the finals. And at that point, I'll hedge out my plus 800.
Yeah, I think Atletico. I think this one-off type of tournament favors them. I mean, a defensive team that keeps games close and only needs one goal. Parma scoring right now, and only needs
4-2
one
Parma.
goal to seal a game. I think that really favors them. And Leipzig, as you mentioned, Werner's gone. They were struggling to get results at the end of the season. I mean, they should have won. I forget now, it's been a month, but several games I remember them at the end of the season where they were settling for draws against not good teams. So it was I think it's just a sign of them, just a team not built to be able to withstand this type of a tournament and these type of really, really, really strong teams. So I like Madrid in that game. I like you make a good point about them being a possible team to make it to the final because of this type of situation. I think favors them. I mean, listen, they came and they knocked out Liverpool over 2 legs, but I think they're a good side on 1 leg type of games. They're a team. Both teams for me really were teams that I liked to play when they were playing the top teams, when they were catching goals, because they always play, because they're defensive, they can play the top teams very well. But Leipzig really struggled towards the end of the season and were disappointing. So I like Madrid in that game. I don't know, actually. I don't have it in front of me. I forget what the line is in that particular match.
Plus 125 for Atletico in that game. Plus 220 for Leipzig.
What are they to advance?
And then to advance, I believe I switched it off, but to advance looked like it was plus 1. Oh, sorry. I think either plus 105 or minus 150. Might have been minus 150. So if you hold on 1 second, I will give you the exact odds to advance in this game. And then we've got another goal in a game that looks like it is in the Torino game. So it might be Torino that scored. I've kind of switched it off that game. And it might have been the guy I was making fun of, Zaza. So Atletico Madrid is minus 150, Nick, in that game to advance. So that it takes into consideration extra time and penalty kicks.
Okay. Looks like Lecce scoring right back.
4-3. The goals are flying in that game.
We missed out on the. Should have taken those 3 goals in the second half.
Yeah, it's unbelievable
the
goals
quickly.
that are getting scored. There's action, it seems like, in every game, but this Sassuolo game, I could stand to use a goal in that game as well too. But I think I'm going to actually switch it over to that game on my screen so I can watch a couple of them. Nick, I'm going to throw this one to you because I'm going to put you on, throw you into the frying pan here or into the fire. PSG Atalanta. And I know there's people on Twitter that talk about this game and they're like, PSG or Atalanta have no shot against PSG. I never say never. Never say a team has no shot of winning because that's just not true. And the line tells you that Atalanta have a shot.
Atalanta are a team that is fun to watch. They move up and down the field. They score a lot of goals. They're similar to last year's Ajax team. PSG has a lot of heavy paid players, very good players. We know Mbappe is going to be missing for the game. On paper, PSG has the better players, right? But they haven't been playing. They did play 2 cup finals over the last 2 weeks. Won both, although they won 1-0 over Saint Etienne against 10 players for basically all of the second half and even part of the first half. And then had to go to penalties as they were 0-0 against Lyon in the other cup. So it's not like they've come out all of a sudden and been this high-profile scoring side, and they really haven't looked that good in those games. So it's just more indication to me that Atalanta, have a chance to keep it close. I like them catching plus a quarter of a goal in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if PSG did win. I don't think Atalanta if they played regular middle of the season, both teams in form, PSG's probably going to win more often than not. But one game, right? 90 minutes, one game. Anything happens. An early goal from Atalanta changes things for sure. And I think they have the kind of ability, if they're down, to never really be out. But I certainly wouldn't rule them out. I like Atalanta catching the corner of a goal in that game.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree, and we have to remember these are neutral site games. Other than the League Two games that are being played on Friday and Saturday of next week. After those are determined, the four teams winning will travel to Portugal, along with the other four teams that are already there, and that is where the rest of this tournament will be played. And it's going to be played in a very quick format. Essentially, they're playing the quarterfinals. I believe 3 or 4 days later, they're playing the semifinals, and then 4 days after that, they're playing the finals. So, and at the same time, we've got the Europa League tournament that's being played in Germany, where the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals will be played. So, you've got that as well too, and very quick succession as well too. 3 games at a time being played, or games being played like 3 days apart, 4 days apart. So it's a very quick format being played on neutral ground. So it's a tournament unlike Champions League or Europa League I've ever done before. Where most games were played League One, League Two away, and then a final was at a host site played. So it should make interesting. But Nick, it gives us a lot of stuff to watch, which is great.
It is, and then that canceled early off the Big Five will roll right into starting right as soon as that Champions League finishes, which is good. So France will be the first one coming back. I think it's the 22nd or 23rd maybe for league action. So looking forward to getting some really no lull in any action as far as Champions League, Europa League, right into France, and then we have a couple of weeks before then Premier League, Serie A, and I think Germany's actually 1 week behind. So they're going to have a nice big break because they were the first one obviously to come back and finish, and then they're the last one to return for the following season. So, but excited, yeah, excited. There's no break in the action. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the MLS though. I mean, what do they do now? The tournament's almost over. MLB with going city to city is failing, for lack of a better way to put it. I don't know what the plan is. They haven't really been able to finalize anything yet, so don't know what to expect with that league.
Yeah, no. They talked about. I think I heard it like a week ago or 10 days ago, where they talked about the rest of their season being played a condensed schedule, 16 games, maybe 18 games. It remains to be seen if that happens or not after this tournament is over. Obviously, teams have left to travel back home. You know what I mean? They're out of their bubble. It's just the teams that are left there to play. But who knows? You know what I mean? The thing here is you have 3 teams in Canada up here. We have Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. You can't fly in and out. You can fly in and out of Canada, but Canadian teams that travel south and then come back home have been told by originally in Toronto, our premier said they were fine with games being played in the stadiums. That's what happened with the Blue Jays. And then our federal government stepped in and said, no, we're not allowing that. Any team that leaves and then comes back in has to quarantine for 14 days. This is why the Toronto Blue Jays are playing in Buffalo. They were going to play in Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh didn't want them, and there was no place for them in Florida. So, it's one of the things where baseball is suffering right now, and unfortunately could get canceled. So there's talk about the Canadian teams literally getting all of their games in. Toronto playing twice against Vancouver, twice against Montreal, Vancouver and Montreal playing twice, and then they head south and they play somewhere in the States to finish out their season, playing in their home games in a different stadium. So we'll have to see how that's going to work. But it's again, it's a tough situation in sport right now.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate, and at least we have, in our situation, we're lucky we have all these other leagues being able to do their thing and continue to have action to bet on and games to watch. Because it's unfortunate here in the States, it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. So we're thankful for that. So we got about 15 minutes left in a lot of these games, and really it's been, other than this game that we're on, it's been a lot quieter than I thought we were going to see in a lot of these games. So glad we picked this game to do. At least we're getting a lot of action in the game, and we're able to hit a lot of the bets we chose in that first half. But it's been quiet.
I think what you meant to say is, Nick, I'm glad you picked this game to do, because we've seen 7 goals in this game, and the one that I thought would have quite a few goals in it has 1 goal in it, and it was assisted by Lasagna. Lasagna assisted on that goal, Nick, just to let you know.
Of course he did. Of course.
So we did get a goal from him.
Listen, I wasn't going to throw you on the bus and say that I wanted to do.
The only exciting thing right now going in that Sassuolo game is whether someone will get the correct score. Jay and Robert both have a shot to win. They have a 1-1 draw in that game. Brian had 1-0 Sassuolo, and Matt would need a couple Sassuolo goals, which I would be perfectly fine with, or at least the next goal by Sassuolo very quickly. So that would give me an opportunity to probably cash out of the over 2.5 that I have in that game. That I haven't even looked to see what they're offering. Yeah, they're not offering much on that. So you would need a second goal. And then I don't even know, in all honesty, these games, if they meant something, and maybe the Genoa game and maybe the Lecce game, obviously they mean something, but in the other games, you're not going to see, I seriously doubt you're going to see, Nick, that 5 or 6 minutes of injury time. I think, the season's done.
Right.
You might see them put up that sign that says 2 on it, 2 minutes, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, with no need to play anything out, and doesn't matter for anybody. You're right. Yeah, I agree with that. So, well, do you have any? I don't see any reason to be doing anything further in this game at this point. I think we're in a good position with everything, but I feel like Lecce is going to come back and finally get a tying goal. But I don't think there's any reason for us to bet it. We've done well enough in this game.
Yeah,
but I would not be surprised to see Lecce.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. They're you look at the odds. They're no goal is plus 150. Lecce to score 162. Parma to score plus 210. The over 7.5 is minus 188. Lecce is plus 1200 to win the game, and plus 300 is the draw. So I don't know, Nick. Anything there?
I mean, the draw is interesting at plus 300. 3-1 on the money. All I need is one Lecce goal, but then I have to trust them for 10 minutes and not let up a goal? That seems hard.
Yeah. This is a team that did allow, how many goals this season? Is it 80?
80.
I'm looking to see.
Let's see, live with this game.
81 going into today's game, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. It's 85 now.
That's that's a lot of goals.
That's not good.
So
that's not good.
No, it's not. You're not going to win a lot of goals when you allow 81 goals. Brescia were at 79.
It's a miracle that they even. Yeah, it's a miracle they're even in the position they are right now. They had it, going in today, that they had a chance. So kudos to them for turning it on a little bit late in the season, and they started scoring because they weren't scoring beforehand, but they had to score. Just outpaced their terrible defense.
They picked up 9 points in their last 6 games, like 3 wins. They went 3-3. A win over Lazio, a win over Brescia, who they're supposed to beat, or they're below them, and then they had a win over Udinese. When Udinese had already had won back-to-back games and were safe from relegation. So again, it's one of those motivational things where we don't really need to win. Our season's over. We're safe. We're playing in Serie A again next season. So the mentality of the team completely changes, after they've celebrated being safe for another year.
Yep.
So while we're looking at this, I'm going to find one more thing to throw at you, Nick. Yes, I'm doing rapid fire on you, as opposed to you doing rapid fire and asking me these things. We're going to look at let's look at while we're waiting for some goals to hopefully be scored. Let's look at Europa League. Where are we here?
Oh, yes.
So Wednesday's Europa League games. We have obviously Copenhagen. Let me see if I can find a good game. The Man United game, it's so tough because United are minus 400 to win the game against Lask, who are plus 1100. It's just we don't know who's going to be in that lineup. Unless Solskjaer talks about it on Monday or Tuesday and says, I'm going to start 11 guys named Fred or whatever. I don't know who they're going to have. So they won 5-0. You know what I mean? They could probably start their complete bench and still win the game.
It's true. Yeah, that's a tough one. But I mean, even with their bench out there, they're still pretty good.
Yeah, no.
And I know Lask is a team we actually like. I know we've played them a few times because they're a strong team in Austria. But I don't know what's how do they approach this game, right? It's a weird situation for both sides. Probably a game I'm not going to be looking at to do. It's just hard when there's so little on there. You don't have lineups that you know what's coming. It's probably a game I'm not going to be looking at to throw any money at. But there's definitely other games I think that are going to be give us some good opportunity. One team I like a lot is Shakhtar. Unfortunately, they because they've been playing too, so which is good, and they did well since the restart. They were a team I liked kind of beforehand, so I think they can come back. Wolfsburg in Germany was never really did that great this year. They never really put anything together. Their Shakhtar leads 2-1 going back home, and they are currently plus 135 to win the game at home. The draw no bet is minus 150, but Shakhtar at home is a tough place to play going to Ukraine. So I like Shakhtar in that game, to be honest, and I think there's decent value. Even though they already lead, I think there's decent value for them to get an early goal and then sit back and play some defense. It's a tough place to go play, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well too. I'm looking at some of the games, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing the Inter versus Getafe game is being played in Germany as well too. So I could be wrong on this, but I believe even though Inter and Getafe did not play a League One, that while some of the other round of 16s did play a League One, that they are just going to have this game is just a one-off, so they won't get to play the two legs, which I believe would be the similar thing with Roma and Sevilla.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Exactly right. Anybody that played their first leg, anybody that played their first leg gets the second leg. Anybody that did not just gets the one game. So that's exactly right for this. Which Inter, I believe, is the team. They looked good to end the season. They looked much better than Getafe did. They kind of limped towards the regular season. They're only minus 133 right now to win that game, Inter, and they looked very good defensively coming home. So I really like Inter. I think they should have. On paper, they should win that game 7 out of 10 times. So I think there's a good value in that number the way it is. And I think that thing rises to minus 150, minus 160 by kickoff. So I like Inter in that game.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you too. They did a fantastic job in the final game of the season, which really only, if you think about it, they played Atalanta and really only meant who finishes second in the league, but was a good way for them to, and for Conte to finish the season. They finished second. They shut down a team that has been scoring goals by the bunches, and came into that game looking to try and score 100, and they beat them 2-0. So a great job on them, and it's that momentum carrying them forward, because that season literally ended for them. Unlike some of the other leagues where there's 2 or 3 weeks in between finishing your season and getting into play, that these guys are going to go, playing on Saturday and going right into Wednesday and playing. The
Yep.
Spanish league ended a couple weeks ago, was it? I believe.
Yep. It's already been a couple.
So it's been a while for
Yep.
Getafe, and having played it 2 weeks or 3 weeks is, I don't think it's detrimental to them, but they're going to be playing a team that and Inter that are they kind of have some momentum going right now, and I think you're absolutely right that if you're planning on playing Inter, you might as well take them now at 134, because that price is probably going to go higher.
That's my belief. That thing's only going to go higher until we get to that game. The other Sevilla-Roma game's a little tougher for me. They're same thing. You got Spain and Italy. But Roma did a great job to end the season. Sevilla did a great job to end the season. Sevilla, a little bit more time off. Roma coming right out of the season. I don't know. That's a tough one. Ultimately, I would think Sevilla, a little more defensive-based, should have the edge in the game. And they do, as far as the line goes. They're plus 110 versus Roma at plus 260. But I wouldn't be surprised with anything in that game. And the total, the total's low. It's 2.25. You can get it at minus 120, or you get 2.5 at even money or so. So it's a low total, which is normal for Sevilla games, not as normal for Roma games. But that's a tougher one to me. I tend to lean towards the Spanish side in that one versus the other game where we're going to Italy. But I don't know. That's harder to get a read on. I really like Inter. Sevilla, I'm only like, I sort of like it. They're more of a lean.
Yeah, it looked like we were going to get looked like something in the I think a VAR and a possible penalty in the Sassuolo game, but it looks like it was called offside. So 1-0 there, and that game is about to end. 3-0 for Genoa. They are about to start celebrating a new season, another season in Serie A. Lecce will get relegated to Serie B. There's still some time for Lecce to sort of at least go out with a bang and at least not lose their last game. They could still score and get a draw there. Bologna Torino 1-1. I hope I didn't talk somebody off of that taking a draw in that game. And then this absolutely boring game that I almost got stuck Nick with, which was Sassuolo and Udinese.
Would have just fit the mold of our live choices, but at least I got one here. We chose one with 7 goals, so that's good. I knew it was just Lecce the way they played. I know you've been taking a lot of their overs.
Yeah.
And for good reason. They can't keep anybody out of the net. Yet they're scoring themselves.
Yeah.
So
Jay, we're gonna do one more live betting show to make some more money for the Detroit crew. I will give out 3 jerseys on that show, and then I actually also have if there's anyone who's a fan of the Mexican national team, I have a Mexican national team jersey. I have a couple of them. One that is part of my collection, so it doesn't have the tags on it. And then I have another one that I was planning on giving away at some point and didn't get a chance to. So I'll be giving that jersey away on the show as well. So maybe Abel chimes in with his parlay picks, and we'll see if Abel can win that Mexican jersey. Nick, anything to add here? You still there, Nick? Come in, Nick.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Go ahead.
was scrolling through the golf scores for the day. I had a couple guys making charges on the in the World Golf Championship event that's going on right now. Berger's 2 shots back, so I was watching him climb the leaderboard.
Got you. One final push up the field for Sassuolo, trying to get a goal, and this guy pretty much kicked it at the goalie, but it kind of like my tee shots. It went 90 degrees the other way, so he shanked it, and that game's over. 1-0 Sassuolo in that game. Guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. We're going to watch to the end of this this Lecce game, and then I'm going to take us off air. So we're going to see if there's anything left. We're kind of hoping, in a way, that Nick, our bet on Parma +1 will be a winner. A couple of the other ones did lose, unless we can get a penalty in this game, some way, somehow. But there are 5 minutes of time left in this game. And then we are done for this weekend. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend and you guys are making some money. There are no late games other than Nick has one tonight, so you can head over to WagerTalk to pick that up. Champions League, Europa League package, $99 every single play, starting from next Wednesday. And there's going to be games Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's a ton of games, and then they'll pick it up again the following week, probably on Tuesday, with the next round of Europa games. So tons of action, a couple games every single day. I think it's 22 games in total that you guys will get by picking up this package. So it's a pretty good one to get, because I'm pretty sure Nick and I will have at least a couple 5% plays during this tournament, and that's like $80 right there for those 2 games. So might as well get them all for $99.
Yeah, there's already that easily a 5% play for me as well. And the other option is the promos you mentioned in the beginning of the show with Carm 4, 5, or 6, and Nick 4, 5, and 6. One-time use codes to get a year, which would start immediately all the way through September 12th, which is when this season starts, but it would go a year from that date, but you would get between now and then as well. So you basically get that back.
Yeah, and I'll even go one step further on this. Okay, this is even better deal. One step further. Okay, Nick, the last league to start is Germany, right? When does the EPL start?
Correct.
Is it the 12th? And Serie A, I believe, is also the 12th. Spain, any idea?
I have it on my page right now. Let me pull it up.
I'm going to look to see if I don't think that any odds out for the German season as of yet.
So, Premier League, La Liga, the 12th. Bundesliga is the 18th.
Bundesliga is the 18th of September? Okay, so, correct, September. Yes, Nick? September 18th?
Well, I'm sorry, you cut out there. September, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make it one step further. If you pick up Nick's 1-year package or my 1-year package, I'll get them to start it on the 18th with the start of the German season, which means that every league will be in play at that point. So, but your package your 1 year will start on match day 1 of the German season, but you'll get every play between now and September 18th, which means you'll get any of the La Liga plays, any of the EPL plays, and any the Serie A plays for week 1 of that season, and then all MLS and any other plays before then. So you're literally going to get about 6 weeks of plays for free, and then I'll start your package on September the 18th. If you pick up his or mine. So that's a pretty good deal. You go with that, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I'm on board.
All right. Final score, Lecce lose 4-3. Our final bet does win in that game. the Genoa game, they must be really celebrating because there's like 3 red cards in that game, so that one is now over. Really appreciate you guys joining in. Stoppage Time will be on next Wednesday, and we will be discussing the Europa League games, some of the ones we discussed on, some of the Champions League games, but really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys made some money. More of our pregame ones hit than anything else, but which is good. And then, I'm watching the Bologna game, Torino. I think that one has just ended as well too. So I think we're good, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Nick, thanks for doing this with me. Really appreciate it. And we will see you, I guess, on Wednesday.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.